brothers and sisters. Greetings, 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 greetings. I am so glad that you all are here with us tonight. And peace and blessings to all of you. Shout out to everybody that's coming in tonight. I was not able to come on live earlier, so I'm just now coming on. There's a reason for that. There's a good reason for that. And every now and then, we'll find these things happening. But first of all, before I do anything, I want to get right into tonight's subject, but I want to also let you all know that we're trying to come, when we do come, about 45 minutes to bring you a lesson so that the topic can be used to share with others. So this is why we're not playing music like we used to up front. We're doing this where it can be used to send out to someone else at a later date. So let me just go over here to the chat room and say hello to everybody that is in our chat room already. Sister Barbara Benton, the first in our chat room tonight. How you doing, Sister Susan? Lawrence Colburn, Sister Dahlia Padgett, Brother Canson, Kevin Yates, Brother Landon, and Brother Mark. Two of our moderators in the room tonight. The Padgett family in the room tonight. First to be a family. Brother David East, another one of our moderators in the room tonight. Shout out to all of you all that are coming in. Make sure you hit that like and that thumbs up button. That's going to be important to build up the algorithm as we get started tonight. Now, we're going to get right into tonight's subject. Shout out to Brother ASAP from Atlanta who came in. Oh my gosh, he did an awesome job here in Fort Lauderdale over the weekend. There's Lakeisha Ming. We got another family, the Ming family, in the house. Brother ASAP did a wonderful job this week, and I just want to let you know how a wonderful job he did. He came in, he did a lesson titled Jesus, the If-Then God. Jesus, the If-Then God. Tonight, I was at an event, which is why I am late. Shout out to Sister Maureen. She's up in West Palm Beach. She's getting ready to go up to New Jersey for a little bit, but we'll see her hopefully this weekend. She just got baptized about a month ago, and shout out to her. I want to say this to you, that I was at an event tonight, and when I was at the event, I thought about the wonderful message that Brother ASAP brought. Today is Juneteenth weekend. Today is a national holiday, and it's called Juneteenth. So I titled tonight's lesson. Let me see, what did I title the lesson tonight? I believe it was Juneteenth. If-Then History. If-Then History. I'm gonna let you know why I did that, because I was at an event tonight, and it was dealing with Juneteenth, and I listened to all the accolades and the things that people were bringing up regarding this particular recognition of this particular day. And I'm going to go into it so that you could see what Juneteenth is and what made me go down the road that I'm getting ready to go down into this statement. Now, Juneteenth, brothers and sisters, there's if you don't know, if you didn't know anything about Juneteenth, I'm going to share some information with you regarding the day. Okay, it is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. This goes back to 1865. All right, 1865. This thing goes all the way back. And I want to talk about it because I call this lesson tonight Juneteenth. The if-then history. Juneteenth, the if-then history. So, just to give you a little history, it was June the 19th, which was actually yesterday, in 1865. It was when the enslaved African Americans in Texas were told they were free. All right. So here we are, a century and a half later. People across the United States continue to celebrate the day. So Juneteenth, or June the 19th, is when the recognition, the date, was celebrated in Texas. Okay, so it's now a federal holiday. That's what it is. So it's an annual event. This is every year now, commemorating of the end of slavery in the United States after the Civil War. And it's been celebrated by slaves since the late 1800s. And as you all know, recently President Biden signed legislation last year that made Juneteenth, which falls on June the 19th, that's where the name comes from, a federal holiday. After interest in the day was renewed during the summer of 2020 and the nationwide protests that followed the police killings of several Black Americans, including George Floyd, and you had Breonna Taylor, and you had many, many more. And so as a result, this holiday was signed. This is, sometimes we get little things and little progresses and not knocking it, but it was I don't want to say it was a pacifier, but these things that we go through, things that we've been doing, is brought to the forefront. So Juneteenth has always been celebrated by people in Texas. So it became noticeably increased across the United States over the past few years. In fact, a lot of cities in the state of Florida started to recognize it as a federal holiday. In fact, I was off today. So, and it was just a month ago. It was just a month ago when 10 people were killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. All right, and when you look at that, it was definitely considered a racist event. It was one of the deadliest racist massacres in recent history. And so when you look at this Juneteenth, it has a lot of healing going on around it, but it still needs to be brought to recognition as to what this day really was about. So just to go back, because a lot of people talk about the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, but on June the 19th, 1865, it was 2 months after the Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered, because although the Emancipation Proclamation took place in 1863, you got to remember the South they were separating themselves, as you call the Confederate States, from the United States. So therefore, what was done in 1863 was done for those up in the D.C. Northeast area, but down in the South, the those in the South had considered themselves to be the Confederate States. But it was June the 19th. It was 2 months after the Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered in Virginia. And it was Gordon Granger. He was a Union general. He went to Galveston, Texas, to inform enslaved African Americans of their freedom and that the Civil War had ended. Although it was done before that, he went down to let them know. So General Granger's announcement put into effect the Emancipation Proclamation, which had been issued almost 2.5 years earlier. And as you know, that was done on January the 1st, 1863 by Abraham Lincoln. So the holiday is also called Juneteenth, Independence Day. Some people call it Freedom Day. Some people call it Emancipation Day. Basically, how is it celebrated? It involves people getting together, bringing history up as to what really happened, because a lot of people don't really understand what Lincoln did in 1863. Lincoln had some other plans after that to deal with they're not actually dealing with segregation. It was his intent to send slaves back down into the Caribbean islands and just kind of get rid of everybody. But it was a group of African ministers and that was a part of that group that he brought into the White House to sign this, and they just made it adamantly that they are a part of America also. So how that unfolded, we have to go back into our history books and read, but there was a lot that took place. Wow. So some people, you know how we celebrate whenever we get 4th of July, Martin Luther King birthday. A lot of times it's just where people are just getting together and they just having a large event, parades, festivals, and what have you. But I think it's important that we get some history. But a lot of history was taking place regarding this event. And in fact, I was at an event tonight that where I deal with a group that was instrumental in bringing in Malcolm X's daughter to be a guest speaker on just civil rights after and during her experience during the time that her father was assassinated. In fact, I walked up to her and introduced myself and being a part of those that have brought her in for this event in the community. And that's her there. Eliasha. I hope I'm saying her name right. Shabazz. I just know her as Shabazz. She's a educator. She is a professor, and she teaches criminal justice, and she teaches, of course, other programs. But I would have read a little bit about her history, but you all can do that. But she was a guest speaker tonight, and I just, wanted to take a time to really explain to one of the other guest speakers who was talking about our history going back to the slavery days. And as I was listening to all of the world of information that we don't get in public schools. I thought it was good information. I really did. I said, this is some good stuff. However, when I was sitting there listening to this wonderful arrangement of information regarding our history beyond America, they went through the slave ships and said how that we came from kings and prominent kingdoms in Africa. And I listened and I listened, and I went up to one of the speakers, and who did so profoundly. And I said to him and to Ms. Shabazz, our history goes all the way back to the scriptures. And perhaps one day your research would take you to that level where we go way back before the slave ships. Our history goes way back beyond that. And the young brother, he is a professor here, Dr. Rudy Bart, who did a phenomenal job in giving a lot of history. And he came before Dr. Shabazz came up and gave a lot of information. And she gave a lot of information as to the events surrounding the assassination of her father. But again, I wanted to take the opportunity as a person, because sometimes, you know, we have to realize that in our presentation, we can drop a seed and don't have to be radical, just drop a seed and walk away. So I said, you know, after talking and what have you, and taking a photo moment and stuff like that, I took the opportunity to say our history goes all the way back to the scriptures, and I embrace the day that this information is dropped to our people. So as I was listening to all of this, I thought about the message that Brother ASAP brought this week. Again, a wonderful message. And his message was, if Jesus and if then God. And he went to several occasions and several places in the scriptures, and he dropped information on different scenarios that if Israel did this, then that would happen. If this took place, then that would happen. And I did a lesson on this channel titled, it was like a word problem, the if then. So as I was again listening to the wonderful historical presentation made by Malcolm X's daughter, Miss Shabazz, Dr. Shabazz, I thought it was good and it was well presented, but I wanted to just drop the nugget. So tonight, I am going to do something. As I told you, our lessons are going to get not short, but they're going to be substantive enough where you could share with others and they're full of substance. Not to say that a long lesson cannot do it. It can. A long lesson is good. Nothing wrong with a long lesson. All right, but I want to go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, because this is where my mind went at tonight after listening to everything that I heard tonight. Because we go way back beyond the slave ships. So this is a good lesson to have on Juneteenth. In Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, Moses is speaking to the children of Israel. The children of Israel has a history in the scriptures. They have events that took place that can only be identified with one sect of people on earth. And if you read this, then you'll understand who those people are. And so when we get a teaser of information, again, a lot of wonderful information that I heard tonight, but when we get a teaser bit of information, and you don't know that you're getting a teaser bit of information. When I mean a teaser, it was good, it was inspiring, it was educational. But if you know what we know, you consider it to be just a teaser. Although it's appealing, although it's rejuvenating, this here is even more rejuvenating, to let you know that your history goes all the way back. And that's why I called this lesson tonight Juneteenth, the if-then history. So let's go back, because brothers and sisters, before Juneteenth, before the Emancipation Proclamation, before the first ship came over to the United States, you go all the way back here. Our forefathers, our ancestors, encountered something that no other nation on earth has ever had the opportunity to encounter, and that is to deal with the God of Israel face to face at the mountain. So when all of that was done, Moses comes back and he presents this. And it should come to pass if, because you got to understand, when I was at such a wonderful lesson put on by Brother ASAP this week, you'll see why my mind went from this event to this message. If thou should hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. This was a guaranteed promise. This, brothers and sisters, was before Juneteenth. This was before the Emancipation Proclamation. This was before being enslaved. This was before the first slave ship coming to America. This was before the Spanish Inquisition. This goes back way, 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 way back. We were told, if we hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if you just hearken diligently, hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. And then it goes on and says, blessed shall thou be in the city, blessed shall you be in the field, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shall thou be when you come in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. This is what we were told, our ancestors, before Juneteenth, before the Emancipation Proclamation, before the 4th of July, 1776, before the first slave ship, before we were scattered. Our ancestors was told, the Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in the storehouse and in all that thou settest thy hand unto, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee as an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his way. And then in verse 10 he says, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, and in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, and in the in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give thee. This is awesome. This is before all of that wonderful layout and arrangement of great information that I heard at this event tonight. Before all of that, brothers and sisters, before all of that good information came, before I had an opportunity to meet this awesome orator, Ms. Shabazz, Dr. Shabazz, the daughter of Malcolm X, the assassinated Malcolm X. To see that his daughter is still being an activist, still making awareness out there, and hearing all of that great information, brothers and sisters, I still thought about this. It says, the Lord in verse 12 shall open up unto thee in his good treasure the heaven to give the rain unto the land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. Thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail. And thou shalt be above only, thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God. I want you to look at the covenant. This is why I'm sitting there and I'm getting all this information, and I can only think about the lesson taught by Brother Asaph this weekend, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all of his commandments, statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And it goes on. He names, everything that I read that was a blessing, he says, instead of blessing the city, blessing the field, it's cursing the city, cursing the field. Curse should be everything that, all the blessings that he named, all the curses come. And all of that, brothers and sisters, and he gets all the way down here, how he says all of this stuff is going to come to you. And then in verse 58 he says, if thou wilt not observe to do all the words of the law that are written in this book. Wow. That thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God. And he says all of these plagues and sicknesses, he names them all. I mean, even some that does not even name in a book. All of this stuff is going to come before us, brothers and sisters. And then he says this, I will bring thee into Egypt again, meaning bondage again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. When we say bondage into ships, he's going to bring you back into Egypt again with ships. He's talking about bondage. They didn't need any ships at that time to get to Egypt, where they were at. He was talking about a condition. I'm going to bring you right back into the same condition that you were in. This time, I'm going to do it with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. There thou shalt see it no more again, and they shall be sold unto, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. And nobody can redeem you. Nobody's going to be able to get you out of that. Nobody's going to be able to come and get you, and no matter what they do, nobody's going to redeem you. This young lady, her father was an activist, lost his life. Martin lost his life. Brother Evers lost his life. The list can go on and on and on. But the Lord said nobody will be able to redeem you. So I sit there and listen to these wonderful speeches that were so profoundly presented with a lot of historical data and information. And I could not help but to go up and say to my brother, Dr. Rudy Bart and Dr. Shabazz, are you aware that our history goes so much further back than a ship coming over from Africa, where we were part of rich nations? It goes way back, brothers and sisters. So that's why I call this night, the lesson tonight, Juneteenth, the if-then history that goes all the way back before Juneteenth. So when we look at Galveston, Texas, it has still today remained a busy site for Juneteenth events over the years, and it's something that they have been celebrating in Galveston, Texas. And this thing goes all the way back. Now all 50 states recognize the day Juneteenth in some form or fashion. I just continue to pray that our understanding goes way back so that we can return unto Him, so He can return unto us. So that's why I dropped that seed to my brother and my sister today after hearing their profound information that was so educational and yet beneficial. But I just wanted to let them know, go back a little bit further. It goes a little bit way back. So, last year, on June the 17th, 2021, last year, President Biden signed the bill into law, making Juneteenth now the 11th holiday recognized by the federal government. So there was a lady named Miss Opal Lee. She was an activist, and she, at the age of 89, walked from her home in Fort Worth, Texas, all the way to D.C. And she's called the grandmother of the movement to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. So today it's a federal holiday. And the law went into effect immediately. So the first federal Juneteenth holiday was celebrated last year. And a lot of cities took it on to make it their first. And where I work, this was our first. And again, we had a guest speaker, and it was a great opportunity to meet this wonderful lady who was a great orator, Miss Shabazz. So that being said, brothers and sisters, that's our lesson tonight. I just want to just bring it out because maybe sometimes when we get a little of our history, it's always good to share some other history. So shout out to my sister. It was a good opportunity to meet her and have an opportunity to talk to her and just share some information on the side. And she did an excellent job. And just wanted to share that with you tonight. And while I was sitting there, where my mind was going at. We'll be back tomorrow night. We will be back tomorrow night at our regular time, as we do. So you all make sure you hit the subscribe and the share button right here. I don't think you can hit that one, but just make sure you subscribe and you share this thought tonight. Juneteenth, if then history, the real history, when we went back. So shout out to Brother ASAP. I like when somebody comes and, whenever my brothers come and, you listen to a lesson and it just stays with you. And I shared with him that we had did a lesson similar called If Then Math, from a mathematical word problem. And I was so glad that he did that. Shout out to Brother Galvin. He says, I missed it, but I'm going to rewind. Yes. So shout out to y'all's son, Queen Cleo, another one of our moderators, was able to come in tonight. Queen, how you been? We missed you. Hope you and Brother James is doing well up there, and we certainly miss you guys. All right, brothers and sisters, that being said, we're going to get out of here. Learn to do this. Trust the Lord with all of thy heart. Lean not to thine own understanding, but in all of your ways acknowledge him. Just acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. I'm a believer of that. Peace and blessings to you all, and we'll see you soon right here on Bethel BHG TV. God bless you. Have a great night.